From Silicon Slopes, I'm your host, Josh Matches, and I'm joined by Trina Limpert, the CEO of RizeNext. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, wonderful to be here, Josh. Thanks.
So tell us all about RizeNext and what you guys do.
Yeah, so RizeNext is a diversity, equity, and inclusion consulting firm. We take a little bit different aspect to diversity and inclusion. Last year, annually, we're spending about $8 billion in diversity and inclusion training, yet not seeing any research that shows that we're really truly making an impact. And a lot of that reason is we're not applying the same business principles and strategy to diversity and inclusion that we do to any business. We would never run a business like we do within the diversity, equity, and inclusion space. And so a few years ago, I started doing consulting to be able to help organizations understand how to put business strategy principles into diversity and inclusion. Because a lot of people are very passionate in this space. It's a very emotional, triggering area. And so the people that are coming into it are very passionate, but they may not have the training or the tools or the resources or the understanding to how to actually put something that can create change into the organization. So we put some of that rigor and structure in how to plan for strategies, how to put your strategies together, how to put resources behind it, how to make sure that you're tracking, you put measurements and targets and actual information where you can say, are we making progress? And if not, let's shift, let's make an adjustment, right? And be able to get people on board on what we're doing and why it matters. And the second thing that we're really doing that makes a huge impact is we're very experience focused, because you want people to want to participate. And really, I feel like organizations may have approached it as a check the box type of approach.
Absolutely, many do. They don't think of diversity, equity, and inclusion as like a must-have.
Part of the core
like
of the business.
It's something that they just have to check the box and do.
Right. And we hear, there's been a lot of research by Deloitte and others saying 35% higher growth and profitability when you apply these principles, but a lot of people just don't know how. How do we actually do this?
How do you help companies make that cultural shift to actually start thinking about it as an important factor in the health of their business?
Right, so the first thing we start with is understanding what their vision, mission, and values are for their company. Every DEI strategy is going to be different. And it's because every business is different, and your goals as a business are going to be different. And so we start with understanding what is it they're trying to achieve as a business, because that's going to determine how you engage their employees. Because if your business vision is different than what your DEI strategy is, it's like we've got to disconnect. How do we engage everybody in the same set of work and apply those principles underneath it so it's integrated into your strategies?
So do you bring the DE&I up to the C-suite? Is that how you?
My suggestion is that it should be part of every C-suite, and it should start at the executive level. If your executive's not bought in, just like any other business strategy I've ever run, you start with executive buy-in. If you don't have executive buy-in, you're always going to be running into barriers. You're going to be running and saying, well, my leader doesn't relate the same way. Why would I then run as an employee the same way? So really starting with the executive and making sure they understand how it applies to their business and how they want to see, what's their moonshot goals, what do they want to have in the organization. We start there and then start to put plans together on how to bring it together. We then also create programs, initiatives, plans to be able to execute that, but with an experience focus. Again, what's the experience of our leadership? What's the experience that our teams are going to be going through? How do we bring that experience focus to our strategies to really drive change? I want people to have fun and show up, not just for an event, but I want to get engaged in the community, and I want to get engaged in all of these different aspects of DEI and being aware of them. I often say we want everybody to be a DEI officer. Don't just put one person in place and think you're going to have change across thousands. You really need everybody to feel like they are going to be part of that change, and they're responsible for it.
Do you have any anecdotes of a company where perhaps they just got a ton of value out of moving forward with DE&I in a big way?
Yeah, we have, there's a few. There's one that I'm working with right now, which I actually am gonna use my own experience. So I've been in the tech industry for 25 years. So my background is in technology. I've worked for companies like Novell and eBay and Oracle, and I ran technology organizations for a long time, but I'd always gotten involved with steering committees and eventually became the global president of Women in IT at eBay. And so I oversaw an employee resource group of 1,500 members, 17 countries. And when I came into that position and started to look at how we were actually running diversity and inclusion, we were just doing stuff, right? We couldn't tell the story of what we did. Nobody was telling anybody that we actually did anything. It was great work. There was a lot of great things happening, but I don't think our executive team or anybody really knew what we were doing and the impact that we were having, or leadership understanding that those employees that were engaged were changing the culture. Yeah. They didn't recognize it as a positive. And so some of the things that, as I came in, first of all, putting strategies in place, right? Really starting to work across our communities with our Black employees, Latinx employees, LGBTQ, disabilities, veterans, really pulling those together so that we could have effectiveness across and efficiencies in our operations, so that we weren't all trying to do the same thing. It's a lot of work when you're in a volunteer position on top of your day job. So really trying to create some efficiencies there through those strategies and plans that we put together.
So can we talk a little bit about board diversity?
Yes.
As you probably know, Nasdaq had our rule filing to increase board diversity, and it was front page news. How has that impacted some of the work that you're doing now? Do you find that you're having more clients come to you from the board perspective, looking for diverse candidates, et cetera?
Yeah, I get asked a lot, and the key here regarding everybody, workforce is a big thing right now in general, right? I can't find people. Where are they? And especially technologists. And even as myself as a tech leader, trying to hire for diversity was a challenge. It was really hard, and you're under pressure. You've got to be able to move quickly. If you haven't built out your network beforehand with diverse women, minorities, really bringing them all into your network before you've got to make that decision to hire for it, you're gonna struggle. You're gonna struggle finding it. And so it's really stepping back and saying, right now is time to put in the work to look at your network and saying, are you pulling in diverse people? Are you connecting to other people that aren't like you? So that when you go to hire and you have those positions, you can move quickly and you're like, yeah, I know great candidates. I know how to pull them in, not going, oh, I'm scrambling. Who do I talk to now? But I've got to move fast, right? And so I think it's just everybody has to be very intentional about their networks, making sure that they are diverse and that they're starting to raise up. One of the things that we do with clients and really focusing on moving and shifting from being a talent acquisition type company to becoming talent development. So really shifting from, I'm just gonna hire for it, to how do I create these opportunities for people? So a few years ago, I was having this issue. I can't find people, where do I go? And at the same time, I was having women come to me and knocking on the door and saying, Trina, I hear there's all this opportunity in technology, how do I get in? And I'm like, we've got a disconnect. I've got this huge underserved population of women that are moms or returning to work or transitioning and great careers in finance and other areas, but they want to work in tech, but they can't seem to break in. And we have this tech industry saying, we can't find people, we can't find people. There's a disconnect. So a year and a half ago, I worked with two of my co-founders, Mikkel Blake and Robin Scribner, and we created a nonprofit called Tech Moms. And we help women transition into the tech industry, and it's been highly successful. We've had over 80 women graduate since last fall. We have over 60 in class right now, and we work very closely with our community partners, with our higher education system, and it's that development piece and being able to take somebody that's like, I know there's opportunity, I want to get there, how do I develop myself, tying them into explaining and demystifying this whole tech industry. There's so much opportunity. And then giving them that support. We offer on-site childcare and financial aid and remove all the barriers so they can focus on their own skill development. And I think in answering your question on boards, we need to do that same thing for women in leadership. So creating programs that allow them to have those opportunities. Sponsorship programs are incredible at companies to be able to have them not mentor, but actively advocate for other people and give them opportunities, put them in challenging positions. Don't wait to say, well, when you prove yourself, then we'll promote you. you've got to give them the opportunity to get the skills and development and opportunities to grow into leadership and then grow into those executive board positions.
So important to break that ceiling.
Yes.
Amazing. So what's next for RizeNext as you continue to grow your business?
Yeah, we've got some really exciting work in progress. We're creating an ecosystem. So we do more than just consulting. We really provide solutions. So after we've developed these strategies for companies, we then can provide solution sets and technology that supports it. There's a growing industry out here that's really exciting in this ecosystem of data and analytics solutions to be able to say, how do we actually assess our organization? How do we make sure we're doing the right things? How do we baseline our data? How do we track it, right? There's systems out there for that. There's recruiting. How do we tie into our communities? I'm working with an amazing organization that's helping with that right now. I think they're pitching today. It's Fairstream. They're doing amazing work, and they actually help us with our tech moms, getting them tied into companies and getting hired. So there's a lot of solutions out there that we've built partnerships with to be able to develop this ecosystem and to be able to help companies kind of rise up their next level of diverse workforces. That's what we're doing.
Amazing. Well, Trina, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on all of your success, and we look forward to seeing your talk later today at Silicon
Yeah, that'll be
Slopes.
fun. I'm excited for it.
Thank you very much.
Great.